you get to this point through learning and through growing your company that I don't have to take this client. I get to choose who I want to work with and who's going to be a good fit for my business.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be super duper fragilistic, or is that how that goes? Super duper calalistic, fragilistic, expialidocious.
Something like that.
Something like that. Today's show is going to be absolutely fantastic. Our guest is the owner of BBA Bookkeeping, a pure bookkeeping licensee, and Accelerate 2 Advisor member. Beth Blaney, welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Hey, it's great to have you. And, you know, the very first time I met you, I knew right away you have such a wonderful personality. And so that's why I'm excited to be on this call, is to hear and share your journey in the bookkeeping world and in your bookkeeping business. And so before we get into more about you, let's start off with you telling us a little bit about you and your career journey leading up to this point.
Sure, absolutely. Well, yes, I'm so excited to be here. As you know, I'm an uber fan of the podcast. And the only time that I get to listen to podcasts are when I'm in the car. And I don't really go anywhere. So sometimes I just need to take a drive so that I can listen to your podcast. So you need to know.
We're burning up gas. That's hilarious.
So yeah, I have I've been on a journey, and it's so funny. I feel like I hear so much of my story in so many of your guests. I, like many, fell into bookkeeping. I was working at a small med device startup company. Well, I was interviewing for them to be the office manager, HR, executive assistant, blah, 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 blah. And the CFO was interviewing me, and she said, "Do you know how to do bookkeeping?" And I said, "I mean, I've played around in QuickBooks a little bit for my old boss, but that's it." She said, "I get a feeling I can teach you." I said, "Okay." And then I became a bookkeeper.
Wow.
So I am very thankful to her to this day. And we're still in touch. We even have some shared clients still. So that was, I don't know, maybe back in 2000. And I started taking some clients on the side in 2014. And in 2016, I decided to make the leap. And, you know, again, like many of your entrepreneurs, I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur. I set out to be an outsourced bookkeeper. And then the entrepreneurial thing happened and I built a business.
I'd love to hear that. So what was the point that you set out to be a freelance bookkeeper? What was the decisioning behind that?
You know, Michael, I had always wanted to be a consultant. Even before I knew that bookkeeping was my thing, I wanted to consult with other companies. I love change, and I love variety and different things. And so I always imagined myself as somebody who would be really good at just going into businesses and helping them clean up something. I didn't know what that was, but I knew that that was a thing that I really wanted. And the last company I was at, it is so, so wonderful. They're doing amazing things for type 2 diabetes. And it was an absolutely wonderful experience working there. But they grew a lot in the very short time, 3.5 years that I was there. And as they grew, I had the option, which was a wonderful option, to be able to choose which of my Jane trades I wanted to continue with. So I had to choose between executive assistant, bookkeeper, purchaser, HR person, office manager. And that was really, really hard because I loved doing all the things. And it was that point that I realized, you know what? I think this is my sign. I think it's time for me to start thinking. And then my mother got ill. She was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And I was living in the hospital with her and working, more than full time for somebody else. And it's that very sort of stereotypical, I opened my eyes that life is short kind of thing. Mm. And I realized, why not? This is the time. Life is short. I've always wanted to consult. I now know that I'm really good at back office support and I'm really good at bookkeeping. I know that there's, a place for it. So I reached out to the recruiter that had placed me in that particular job. And I said, okay, this is what I'm thinking of doing. I've got 3 months worth of savings. If it doesn't work out, can you place me somewhere? And she said, oh my goodness, Beth, the market is dying for yous. So yes, I can place you in a heartbeat if it doesn't work out, but it's going to work out. And I never ended up telling my mother because I wanted her at the time, I wanted her to leave the world with, the knowledge that I was stable. But now looking back, oh my goodness, I cannot even fathom how proud she would be of where I've come in these last, really five years.
We'll get back to the interview right after this word from our sponsor. Is this the year you go from accountant or bookkeeper to people advisor? Gusto is on a mission to give every accountant and bookkeeper the skills and resources they need to support their clients well beyond their finances. Sure, Gusto provides an incredibly easy-to-use modern payroll system, but on top of that, you can offer integrated benefits, hiring and onboarding tools, performance management, time tracking, and so much more. And if you're saying, but I'm not qualified to talk about benefits, or I don't know how to provide HR support, Gusto offers certified people advisory training along with CPE credits for free. There's even an accelerator program that teaches you how to package and monetize these new services so you can grow your firm and increase your revenue. And get this, Gusto is so sure you're going to love their platform, they'll set you up with free payroll and HR for your own firm. Sign up today and get client HR tools, exclusive discounts, plus free payroll for your firm by going to gusto.com/The Successful Bookkeeper. That's gusto.com/The Successful Bookkeeper. Thank you for hearing from our sponsor. Now let's get back to the interview. Wow, what a story. And I'm sorry to hear of your mother, and that's you. It's one of those, unfortunately, way too common conversations and things that we hear about these days, and yet you took something really powerful from it. Is this look back at your life and what you want to spend the rest of it doing, and yet you even nurtured your mother to let her think that everything's going to be okay. We got this. Mm-hmm. And so after that, after coming to that realization, the wonderful words from your recruiter, they're saying, just go for it. What did you do? And the tears in the eyes of your existing employer, I'm sure, because
it was hard to say goodbye.
You can't print enough U's.
It was hard to say goodbye. But I had already a lot of connections. I already had a couple clients that I had been doing on the side. And I started working more with that fractional CFO. And she had other clients. And they were all in the medical R&D field or med tech. And I thought that was where I belonged. I knew manufacturing. I knew R&D. I understood, the assembly line process. I knew clean rooms. And so that was my niche. And somehow I got a client who heard about me from his coach, who heard about me from his friend. and he's a social media influencer, actually, and very, very successful one at that. And I realized how much I loved the service-based industry. And I realized as well as we were moving on that he was spending a lot of his own time doing back office stuff, that not bookkeeping, but booking his travel and, managing his own personal finances and, doing this and doing that, when his word is gold, right? He can sell with his eyes shut and his mouth closed. So that's what he needed to be doing. He didn't need to be booking his own travel and doing these things. And because it was already part of my background, it was so easy to say, oh, well, you need me to book that flight for you? Yeah, of course. Let me handle this. Let me handle that. So it really grew from there to being, sort of back full circle of, I'm not just an outsourced bookkeeper. I'm a bookkeeper with back office support.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, one referral led to another referral, led to another referral. And here we are.
Wow. And so has that niche or niche, has that become your niche?
It actually has not. So I love service-based industries, and we do a lot of them. We don't niche. We need to have a whole separate conversation about that. We don't niche on industry necessarily. We have a couple industries that we just don't work with because they're so specialized, such as restaurants and lawyers. So if anybody out there specializes in that, let me know. I'll pass some people along. But I think what I've realized over the years is that we niche based on personality.
Mm.
And I have realized through all of the reading and the networking and the, everything that I'm doing and the coaching and working in the incredible A2A program with Lisa Campbell, I realized that I do get to choose who my clients are. And I want to work with cool people. I don't want to work with somebody who's going to talk down to me and act as though it's the 1950s and I'm his secretary, right? I want to work with people who want to partner with us and who want us to be a part of their business, a part of their growth, their success. And I think the personality is so important. And, you can't see me now, but you've seen me before. I've got blue hair, tattoos, crazy earrings, crazy glasses. I don't look like a quote typical bookkeeper. And that's actually been such a benefit, because if somebody sees that and says that's not what a bookkeeper is, I don't want to work with them anyway.
It's very refreshing. I mean, it's empowering to hear it and to, it takes, I think, awareness to know that this is what you want and it's going to be that, not something else. And, just based on the story that you told as well about your mother, it's like being in business for yourself is not going and being locked up in some other, just call it something different, but still being locked up. It's about truly living your life the way you want to live it and being fulfilled in it. And so when you realize that, you get to say how this is going to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And it doesn't feel that way in the beginning. When you're first starting out and you're sort of taking any client that you can get, it's what you do, right? And it's what you think you're supposed to do. And then you have this sort of scarcity mindset that, oh my gosh, if I don't take this client, then I can't pay my mortgage next month. And then you get to this point through learning and through growing your company that, no, that's not the case anymore. I don't have to take this client. I get to choose who I want to work with and who's going to be a good fit for my business. It's a really, really empowering feeling. And like you said, being able to make it my own. I'm that way with my staff as well. I always tell people that I built a business that I myself would have wanted to work for. And so we don't do a lot of the traditional things. We don't do annual reviews. Don't tell the HR people. because my staff don't like it and I don't like it. I just communicate with them openly and honestly all year long. And so things like that, yes, I get to do that. I get to choose. I don't have to manage my staff based on how my managers want me to manage them.
So let's maybe talk a little bit about that. The evolution of your business. It started out, you went out and one referral after another, and continue that. What were some of the struggles around that, and then what were some of the breakthroughs?
So there were definitely struggles. No doubt about that. I set out thinking, like many, I'm sure, I'm going to be working like 35 hours a week now, and I'm going to be making more money, and I'm going to have all this time for fun. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're creeping up on 40 hours and you're going, wait a second. No. This isn't what I wanted. And so I brought somebody on. She ended up, I put an ad out in the local neighborhood app, and this woman reached out, and this was back in 2018. And she had a little bit of experience at the time. And it turned out that she lived like 3 houses down from me. And we were very similar, and I loved her. Well, she's still here with me today in the business. Wow. And she's been my rock all the way through. So thank you, Dawn. And then I was just going to hire her for like 10 hours a week. That's it. I just don't want to work more than 35. And then we got another referral. And then we got another referral. And all of a sudden, we're both working like crazy. She graduates from college, and we're working way too much. So we decide to bring on another person. And, I never marketed. I'm very visible on social media, but I've never, marketed per se. It's all been word of mouth. It really evolved. In 2019, we did what I thought was blowing up really, really well. And then in 2020, we doubled that. And then in 2021, we doubled that again. So it's, and it hasn't been, to answer your other question, it hasn't been without trials and tribulations. There were definitely times where I wanted to give up. I am beyond thankful for the support system that I have around me. One of the interesting things I've found is that over the years of being an entrepreneur, my friends, the people I spend time with, the people I talk to are also business people, entrepreneurs, because they get it. They get where I'm at. And so having their support, having my incredible fiance's support, I joke and I call him a unicorn because he's literally perfection. He supported me through all those times that I wanted to throw in the towel and say, I can't do this anymore. Or there's the days where, you're having staffing issues and you're like, I just want to fire everybody and go back to being on my own. I think that having that support system of people who get it and know what you're doing, and all the networking and the people that you meet through networking who get it, they got me through and continue to. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I still have some rough days. It's 1099 season here in the US, and that's a rough season for us. So, it's what I have around me that keeps me solid.
We'll get back to the interview right after this word from our sponsor. Accept payments online with CPA Charge, a web-based payment solution built for the accounting industry and recommended by more than 35 state CPA societies and the AICPA. CPA Charge makes it easy to accept credit, debit, and e-check payments from your clients anytime, anywhere. Whether you prefer to accept payments in your office, through your website, or on the go with the mobile app, CPA Charge has you covered. Plus, CPA Charge has all the payment features you need to streamline your cash flow. For example, CPA Charge lets you apply an industry-compliant surcharge to credit card transactions and automatically displays the surcharge as a separate line item. You can also take advantage of scheduled payments to automatically charge your client's payment method at a date and time you both agree to, whether it's a one-time transaction or a recurring bill. With CPA Charge, there are no contracts and no setup or cancellation fees. Visit link.cpacharge.com/ the successful bookkeeper to sign up for this demo today. Thank you for hearing from our sponsor. Now let's get back to the interview. You know, it's interesting how you've said you don't do any marketing, which means you're a natural marketer.
Yeah, I am.
And that's it's an interesting thing, because I would say that it's the best kind of marketing. It's what every marketer actually tries to be or do. Obviously, bookkeepers and most business owners are not marketers. I mean, marketers are marketers, and they train and study and all of that good stuff to be, in the business of marketing. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to actually recreate who and what you are being and doing, which is to share of yourself and have empathy with others and give messages that outline how what you do helps them on an emotional level. And then those people say, hey, I want that. I know, and that's I've basically brought a pretty basic description of what it is. But, you mentioned social media, you mentioned referrals and networking, those are things that they're some of the best things to do. But if you do them unnaturally, they don't work that great. So I think that's something for all of us to remember, is that when we're out and about, be ourselves, be who we are, and share of ourselves, and, be good to people and be interested in other people. And all of that leads to good business.
100%. I mean, authenticity, it's such a, the authentic self thing is such a sort of keyword these days, but that doesn't take away from its truth. It's absolutely what got me here today. And I wouldn't want it any other way. I don't, I'm not going to wear a sheath dress and, high heels and, you know what I mean? Look how I'm supposed to look as a businesswoman. And I'm going to drop some language that maybe isn't so okay in certain scenarios, but I'm going to get passionate, and I'm me. I'm showing you, one of the things that my operations manager said to me this morning was, your authenticity spills out to the staff so much so, and to potential clients when you talk to them, so that they feel that same comfort level of being authentic themselves. And that was, oh my gosh, that just hit me in the heart.
Amazing. Yeah, you become the people you surround yourself with, and they become a part of you as well. And so it comes back to, seems like you've built a really great community in your business with your staff, your team, the people that work with you, but as well, outside of that, you mentioned Accelerate to Advisor and the community there. But it's a remarkable thing. But if we don't bring out ourselves, I mean, what it limits. We're limited in terms of what we can do and accomplish.
Absolutely. And you know what, Michael? I am so myself that I don't even have a choice. I can't not be myself.
And have you always been that way?
I have. Oh my gosh. I was the little nerdy kid with giant glasses, and I stood out in every single school picture. Everyone was wearing these sort of normal outfits. And there's this one that I have still. It's probably, 1986. And I'm wearing this bright red Coca-Cola 2-piece outfit and huge dangly earrings and my giant glasses. And I look like no one else in that picture.
Cue the 80s music.
Yes. So yeah, I've always sort of gone to my own beat, and why wouldn't I be a business owner in that case? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious now, what was the, back in the day, there was the yearbook. Did you have most likely to be? What was your most likely to be?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember.
It would be interesting. It would be interesting to look back and see if you can find that. It's probably going to be exactly what you're doing.
Oh, you know what? I remember my junior high one. That one was Biggest Flirt.
Oh, well, there you go. You're flirting with other businesses. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I was a total nerd. And, I was the kid in the front of class raising my hand and jumping up and down so that the teacher could see me, even though she was trying to look past me. But it's it's now, it's this crazy thing where because I've just been myself, you remember Sally Fields doing the, oh my gosh, they like me, they really like me.
Yeah, what was that from? That
Was
was
it the Oscars or something?
yes, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I feel now. Like after being a kid and sort of growing up that way and being so myself and so different, now the fact that I attract people to me and people tell me, hey, Beth, people like you. I'm like, what? Really? That's
Wow.
great. I love that.
Amazing. Amazing. So I guess it's interesting too, from the perspective of your business and what you're doing today. So we've talked about all of the superpowers that you have, and everybody has their own superpowers. What would be your kryptonite? What are the things that, have you have a bad day?
People management. That is tough. Well, I think I do a good job at it. It's not natural. It makes me very uncomfortable. I mean, I'm sure you're not surprised. I get really close with my staff on a personal level. And when something negative has to be discussed, I do it with the most grace possible. But because I'm such an empath, I think I pick up on that negative or difficult energy, and it really, really drains me.
Interesting. So the people management side of things is that's the area that is your most challenging.
It is, and luckily I'm working on outsourcing that. So I'm a big fan of delegate. So
Right.
I'm working on passing that torch of the management piece along to be able to do the parts that I love.
Lovely, and that's the idea. Get it's part of like the strengths. Focus on your strengths and hire people that have strengths where you're not strong. And so I love that. Now, you mentioned Accelerate to Advisor and pure bookkeeping. Tell us a little bit about the journey to getting involved in that. Why did you do it? Why did it appeal to you? And then how has it helped?
Oh my gosh. Yes. It has helped immensely. I can't even put it into words. Lisa and her team are just phenomenal. I started by reading a book by Mr. Mike Michalowicz called Clockwork.
Mm.
And I remember reading that first chapter and just jaw dropped, like, oh my goodness, is this guy sitting in my house watching me? Like, how does he know? How does he know this is exactly what I'm going through right now? And I was talking to an accountant friend that I know, and we were talking about the book. I think I had read Profit First, and then he suggested Clockwork. So we were talking about it, and he said, oh, hey, I know this, I hear that there's this mastermind happening with this woman, Lisa Campbell. It's free, it's a week long, you should come. I'm like, I don't really have time, but all right, that sounds interesting. Day one, I was just enamored. And one of the great things about Lisa's mastermind, not only is it free, but she gives you good content in this free mastermind. It's not just let me sell to you for 7 days. It's let me actually provide you content that can help you regardless of whether or not you sign up for my program. And her program is very, very similar to the theories that Mike Michalowicz discusses in terms of, systematizing your business so that eventually you can sell it, you can step out of it, you can pass it along, you can, do what you want, and you can do the things that you love to do while having a staff run your business like clockwork.
Wow. I've heard that so many times. Lisa, I mean, I know people have been on this show who've taken her master class, the free one, and have never signed up for her program. And literally they're enacting things that they've learned in there and changing their business in significant ways. It's remarkable.
Oh, absolutely. I had been looking for a coaching program, and I was finding all of these programs that were like, hey, this is how to start a bookkeeping business. This is how to do basic marketing. This is how, these very sort of basic things. And I was like, those aren't going to work for me. I already have a staff. I already have, my own systems and processes. And, I feel like those were going back to the basics too much. And then when I discovered Lisa, it was, oh my gosh, this is exactly where I need to be. This is a community of people who are already running successful businesses, whether they be, solopreneurs or have a team, and they're learning how to up level that. And that was one of the words that she was using that really called to me during the mastermind is up leveling your business. It's not fixing it. It's not changing it. It's not starting back from the beginning. It's up leveling where you are.
Wow. And you've been in the program now for how long?
Oh my goodness, 12 months.
Wow. And what would you say some of the outcomes have been for you?
Oh, just unbelievable. I mean, between just the support and the validations that I've received in terms of, yeah, you're doing this right. Or, hey, here's a better way to do this that you may not know about. There's just that really amazing support that has absolutely uplifted my self-esteem. It has guided me through the entire systemizing process to the point that, we're still working on it. We're always going to be working on it and tweaking it. But it's to the point where I can now hire a junior bookkeeper, and that junior bookkeeper can follow the directions that we have built into these systems. And so I don't need to just be looking for high-level bookkeepers to join my team. I can look for all sorts of them and be able to train them and get them up to speed, because we have these rock solid systems in place to say, this needs to be done now, this needs to be done next, this needs to be done by next week, and here's how to do it. I would say those are the biggest powerful pieces that I've gotten from the program. Beautiful.
I mean, it's remarkable and exciting to hear, and you can hear it in your voice. I mean, just the self-esteem alone, the peace of mind is worth, it's priceless.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And even when we come up to a module that I think I already know everything about, because, I think I know everything, but I also know that I know nothing. Even when it's something that I think I already have down, once I would start diving into the modules, it was like, oh, ooh, I could do that. Yeah, let me think about that. And, just yesterday I was on a call with Janet, who you just had on your podcast. Yes. And she gave me a different way to think about things. And, just having that support system to provide you this, you don't have to do it this way. This is the way we're suggesting. And at least think about it and develop something for yourself out of that.
So true. So true. And of course, there is an Accelerate to Advisor program coming up February 11th. And if you're listening to this after that date, I'm sure there'll be another one at some point. So just check out the link. The link doesn't change, and the link will be in the show notes. You're also a Pure Bookkeeping licensee. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Oh yeah, I love Pure Bookkeeping. It's so in alignment, of course, with what Lisa does in A2A. But again, it's about systems, and it's about having one way to do things across your entire company. For example, one of my favorite pieces of Pure Bookkeeping is regulating the chart of accounts across all of your clients. That has been a game changer, particularly in training new staff. So, one of the items that they suggest is that you have the same chart of accounts with the same account numbers across all of your clients. And obviously, you'd have some tweaks here and there for those with specialty situations. But having that it makes it quicker for me to review reports. I don't have to go into QuickBooks files for the staff that have done the books and review them. I just need to review the reports, and they're all the same. So it takes me less time to scan through them. It makes it easier to remember, every time 6,500 is office supplies. Like, I don't have to go typing in office and wait for QuickBooks to decide that it wants to pull it up. So it's been really great. And I will say to people that are thinking about PBS or maybe at the beginning of it, it's hard. It is hard work. But if you put in the work, you will 1,000,000% see the results.
So true. So true. That's, and really, like most things, there requires some effort, and often the ones that get those good results are the ones that persevere and do the work and build what it is. Build, homes don't build themselves, cars don't build themselves. A beautiful, amazing life doesn't build itself. You build it. And so it's so wonderful to hear and to just know that you're creating not only a business and life for yourself of your dreams, but you're also doing it for your staff. You're doing it for those other community members in both of those programs. You're such a contributor to that, and as well all the businesses that you work with. It's wonderful to hear.
Thank you. I love almost every bit of it.
Well, you know what? The sweet is not as sweet without the bitter. So we got to have a little stuff in there that keeps us on our edge, don't we?
Good point. Good point.
So the profession of bookkeeping has a lot of women in it. Obviously, that's a fact. And with that, often women are raising children. And I know as a fact that, and it's documented heavily, that women not only have work responsibilities, but they're also the dominant player in the raising of the children. Not to, I don't want to get a debate about it or anything like that, but it's what I know. It's what I've read about. In fact, I've been reading recently about the burnout rate in women, particularly in the health industry, doctors and nurses, and how that's playing out with COVID and all that stuff that's going on at home. And it's causing an incredibly high amount of burnout amongst those. And that's just one area in our society where it's evident. So I know this is evident in our industry. So I would love to hear how that has gone for you with your family, and you had a child at a young age. Please share.
Sure. Yeah, I was quite a youngin' when Miles came along, and yes, it was hard. Yes, all the things. Yes, it was wonderful and beautiful, and it was really, really hard. But at the same time, he's the one that's kind of kept me going through the hard times. When you kind of don't have a choice, you've got to do it. You've got to do the thing. You've got to get up and go. No matter how terrible you're feeling that day. He's pushed me without even knowing it in everything that I've ever done.
And that wouldn't have been easy, growing a business and also raising your child. Now he's older now, so you're on the other side of that. But what were some of the challenges going through all of this?
One challenge that really stands out to me, which is something that I have totally implemented in my business. I remember feeling so much guilt every time I had to call my boss and say, I can't come in today. I have to take my son to the doctor. I can't come in today. My son, is sick. My son has an ear appointment. My son, all those things, because I was the primary caregiver. And every single time I had to call out sick, it was just, you feel that sense of guilt toward the business, but you know that you need to do what you need to do. Now, couple that with I remember I was at a company for many years and, still, again, friends with all the people from that company, but my department was 3 people. All 3 of us had young children. God forbid, more than one person called out that day. It was mayhem. And so it wasn't just that you felt guilty, telling your boss, which never feels good anyway, but you felt guilty that you felt guilty for the one person who was left that day and had to do all the work. You felt guilty for, just everything. It was just a terrible feeling, and trying to schedule appointments, and you've got to leave early to go to a baseball game, and you've got to schedule all the appointments around your work hours, which was not easy in the days of you work 9 to 5. And so that became a really important thing for me as I built my business, that we're not in customer service. In some way we are, but we're not sitting in a call center. We're not waiting for people to call all day. There is no reason that I need somebody at their desk from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. every single day. If you want to work from 6 to 8 and then go bring the kids to school and then get a coffee and come home and work from 10 to 12, great. If that's what works for you, if you want to get in a couple more hours after the kids go to bed and it's the middle of the night, like, awesome, as long as you get the work done. So I really took some of those struggles of having a little one and turn them around to say, hey guys, I don't want you to have to go through this. I don't want my staff to have to worry about, Beth, is it okay if I take tomorrow morning off because my son has a doctor's appointment and then this, and I'm so sorry. No, they just put it in the calendar and they say, hey, I'm going to be gone in the morning, just in case you're looking for me.
So true. And I mean, it's remarkable that not only our listener, may be going through that, feeling the guilt of this, and it would be so rampant right now with, getting exposures, have to do testing, kids getting sick. What sickness is this? Is it a cold? Is it COVID? Is it this? Is it that? School's out, it's in. I mean, employers, right? But that's one challenge. And then on the other side, it's will I lose my job? Will I have will this be detrimental? The added stacked stress on all of that. It is refreshing to hear, and it's empowering, I think, to our listener to, either build a life where you have that kind of freedom and flexibility, and also be a person that creates that freedom and flexibility for the people that work in your business. I mean, it's a new era of the way that we get work done and do work. And so you're at the forefront of that.
Oh, I love that.
Well, thank you for sharing a bit of your personal life, and that often we jump over those things, and I think it's important to talk about and let other people know that, hey, we're just like you, right? We don't have it all figured out. Nobody has it all figured out, and so there's always a way. And again, it comes back to community, communicating, and leaning on others if you are in a time where you are stressed or where you need help.
Oh my gosh. You know what I forgot to tell you that I want to tell you about?
What?
Manifestation.
Let's talk about it. Tell me.
Oh my goodness. You are not going to believe this. I was on the phone with my operations manager one morning, and we just sort of have daily check-ins and just chat. And I said to her, Kate, I want to be on the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. She was like, okay. I said, no. Like, that's my next goal. I want to be recognized to the point that other people would actually want to care what I have to say. I really, I want to develop myself into somebody that would be a guest on that podcast. And Michael, 1 hour later, I received the email from your team.
Wow. Amazing.
I get chills just thinking about it.
Well, it's so interesting how these things work. And you're even before the podcast, we were speaking, you were talking about how your son and how you'd found an apartment just up the way and bought him a place to live near you. And then also when you hired somebody, they were like just a couple houses down. It's like, you have the ability, and we all do have the ability to create, our world. Now, some people might, they're huge debate. It's like, is it magic? Is it,
right?
What is it? But it's being, I think on one level, it's being very in tune with what you want, being very clear about what you want, and actually committing that would happen. And we willing to face disappointment that it might not, but to be so committed that it doesn't matter, it will happen. It's like conviction, right? And so amazing that happened where you set that out. And I mean, I said at the beginning of the podcast, you're one of those people that I when I first met, great attitude and energy and just naturally would be someone that would be on the podcast, but you didn't know that because I didn't tell you. So,
well, now you're giving me chills. Thank you.
Yes. So it's wonderful. And I mean, I'm really blessed to have people like yourself in our community and all the listeners and listener right now that's listening, that you, listener, will someday likely be on the Successful Bookkeeper podcast because you're listening, because you care, because you're passionate about what you do. You're likely going to end up here too. So we want to tell your story, Beth. Your story is inspirational, and what you're doing and what you're up against is unique. And so we have to, I think, share about that so that others know it's okay for them to be uberly successful. You just have to allow it to happen to you and create it.
Yeah, for sure.
Beth, this has been absolutely wonderful having you on the show. I know you're going to be coming back, and I know we're going to want to know what's going on in your world. But for now, I want to, on behalf of our listener, thank you for your generosity in coming on the show and sharing where your business has been, where it's going, and a little bit about you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Michael. It's been wonderful.
It's been all our pleasure. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.